This might be our last video.
Let me explain. Despite seeing videos online of people being shot at by arrows, and against the advice of my local friends, after spending so much time in Sri Lanka, I really wanted to find out more about the last indigenous tribe here. This is a part of Sri Lanka's history that most tourists don't see or even hear about. So when I was offered to find out more and share with you the amazing culture and stories of the Vedda people, I couldn't say no. Little disclaimer, there are some Vedda people who want to remain private, so please don't visit them without an invitation. But everyone I'm in contact with wanted to share their story and their history with the world. I've done my absolute best to learn and research everything with accuracy, but if I have made any mistakes, then please let me know. Okay, so just when you thought this island couldn't get any more beautiful, let's get into it.
Hari.
Once we'd got the fire started with flint and a stone, it was time for some arrow practice.
Using an arrow was also so hard. It hurt your fingers so much to have to try and pull it back, and especially to try and even aim it. But then I finally found out what was in that pouch.
If you thought you'd seen blood on the floor in Sri Lanka, it is not what you think it is.
That's what we got.
This is a betel nut, and when you combine it with tobacco leaf and this white little paste, I don't know what it's called, you chew it all together for about 10 minutes.
Very planty.
Before spitting it out, and it's supposed to give you a nicotine high. There are so many people in Sri Lanka that use it, and it leaves you with a bright red mouth and your teeth. Despite what my face says, it actually wasn't that bad to eat. Now, I did get a bit nervous when this huge machete was brought out, but luckily it was just to cut us a piece of coconut while we started making the lunch. Now, I was on childcare duty while everyone else started making the sambal and the roti. Everything was washed in the stream, which was super fresh water. I cannot even explain to you how fresh everything was. And these were the traditional methods that they used to make their lunch and their dinner, which was so nice to experience. And just like that, the lunch was ready, which of course had to be eaten the Sri Lankan way, which is by hand. This is a tradition which is believed to help you connect with your food and also helps with digestion. It was such a lovely and wholesome experience getting to see a bit more into the day-to-day life of the Vedda people.
The Vedda people were originally forest dwellers who lived, foraged and hunted deep in the jungles of Sri Lanka, but today they are scattered in small communities across Sri Lanka and account for less than 1% of the country's population. The first thing which started to wipe out this community was the building of the biggest lake in Sri Lanka, which is on the eastern coast. A lot of the communities lost their forest homes during this reservoir being built, and the government encouraged them to move into Sinhalese villages to find jobs in the rice fields. This meant that little by little they were married into Sinhalese families, and eventually the community became smaller and smaller. But the morals of the remaining Vedda people stay the same. They never pluck a living flower or a leaf from a tree unless they have a good use for it, and they never cut the trees by a river as it will cause the stream to dry up.
So there was clearly so much more that I needed to learn about, so I went to go and visit a different village to delve more into the tools that they needed in the forest and the other traditions that they have. The Vedda people are incredible at getting everything they need from the land, whether that's food, housing, or even medicine, or some freshly harvested honey.
Wow.
These contraptions made with rocks and sticks are used to trap small animals or wild boar for them to eat, and this one with the string is used to catch monkeys. The next thing that he showed me here was honestly quite shocking. This little room here is used for when a girl first starts her period. For her first period only, she has to stay in this room with someone else, maybe a grandmother or an auntie, usually for about 6 days. They explained that she will stay in here for the whole of the 6 days with no contact with anybody outside of the room. It marks the tradition from childhood into womanhood and is believed to protect her from evil spirits. This tradition does still continue in Sri Lanka today, and I have actually attended one of these parties, but I think now in the modern world they do still do the separation for a week, but it's usually just in a room of the house, and then afterwards it's more of a celebration party. This is a tradition I didn't know anything about before I came to Sri Lanka, so I have put a link in the description of an article if you want to learn more about it. This is the cave where him and his family used to live. Now in his adult life, he's been able to move into a clay house not far away from here, but he spent most of his life living in this cave. And here he's showing me the little gecko eggs that are all over the walls. As time went on, they developed their homes and created their furniture still from the land, like this as a bed. This small fireplace here with the smoke up the walls has been left completely intact, as this is where their king stayed before he passed away. As we were exploring more around this little mountain, I managed to trip and fall down and scratch my elbow and the back of my hand. And without even a second thought, he went off into the trees to go and find something to help me. He mixed together this leaf with some water and made it into a kind of paste to cover over my scratches to stop the bleeding. So that just shows there really is a cure for everything in the plants, and the Vedda people will definitely be the ones to show you this. We ended up walking back to the little area where they have all of their collected items.
Stag.
These are some original photos that were taken by a doctor who was visiting decades ago to help them with some medical care. They also have their cooking equipment, and he then explained to me another tradition. Before you get married, you have to collect all of the hair that falls from your head and collect it into one ponytail that the bride and groom will then exchange on the wedding day. They will each wear the other person's ponytail on them for the ceremony. These are some other tools and a map that he has collected, and the markings on the wall is what they used to use to give directions. Now that he'd shown me all about his life and the way that he grew up, I wanted to find out more about him personally. So I asked him what makes him happy. And I asked him what is his dream for the future. Obviously, as this community gets smaller and smaller and the world gets more and more modern, these old-time traditions and lifestyles start to fizzle out. He explained to me that they're starting to have to adapt to more of the modern world, hence why they're living in clay houses, and are even trying to find a way to adapt to tourism. The government have stopped them from hunting in the forest, and so they need to find another way to make money to provide food for their families. It is such a shame to see these traditions fizzling out, but the morals of the Vedda people remain the same. Everyone I met here was so kind and welcoming, and they just want to show their traditions to the world. To finish off this trip, we were invited to attend a traditional Vedda dance. This is a ritual to honour their ancestors and to ward off any evil spirits. It gives them protection and healing, blesses their livelihoods to ensure that they'll have success in hunting and bountiful harvests. This was just a small glimpse into the amazing culture of the Vedda people, and I feel like there is still so much more to learn. I hope in the near future that I can go and spend some more time with these amazing people, and that even in the modern world their traditions will hold strong. But that is how I found the most dangerous tribe in Sri Lanka. So if you get the opportunity to immerse yourself in local culture, even if it's just going for dinner at the home of a family, you should always say yes to these kind of experiences. So make sure you follow along if you want to see more videos like this, or have any questions or want me to go back and visit again, then please let me know. And if you have anything else to share, then I would love to hear it. See you next time. Stuti!